Soleimani, General Soleimani. That's Solomon in their local language. Because he is moving against ISIS and is therefore, quote unquote, a friend of the United States, because the enemy, my enemy, is my friend. And so the United States is helping Iran, Qasem Soleimani, against ISIS, and everybody's supposed to applaud when ISIS gets crunched. And I think they'll get crunched. And the guy in the Middle East, the military genius that will do this and is doing it, is General Qasem Soleimani. And so America's funding of those activities there and in Africa, it allegedly is to get rid of ISIS, but it is a betrayal of the United States.
Well, there's got to be a larger master plan, because criminals in our government and in NATO helped arm the Syrian Free Army, which basically is ISIS now. Saudi Arabia is involved funding it too, but claims they're fighting it. There's a double game going on here from my view. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, look, this is a chess move, and it's not the final play at all. The reason I chose that picture from Star Trek of Captain Kirk saying, this far, no farther, he was referring to an invasion from off-world by aliens onto the world to conquer humanity, and to enslave it. And I think the end game, look further than we are right now at local politics. Look at the global picture, and I've said this time and time again for decades now. We are going to have an official meeting, release, announcement of friendly aliens coming to Earth with super technology, and this is according to biblical prophecy as well. And this is what
you do see the Pope and others coming out saying they think there's other life forms out there, and all the Hollywood movies. Now there's a Project Bluebeam to have fake alien landings. But I mean, you're saying you think the end game is something like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going toward a global dictatorship, but it will be like the movie, the miniseries V that Kenneth Johnson produced in the mid-'70s. The friendlies come looking like humans with their spaceships, park all over the major cities. They have ships that are a mile wide, just hanging in the air over cities, and our scientists are kind of just, dumbfounded. This is impossible, but there it is. And they come in peace, they say. We mean you no harm. We will give you cures for cancer and energy and this and that. So people suck it up. And now then, that they had human skins over reptilian bodies.
Well, I know Hillary probably is actually a demonic 14-foot Easter bunny underneath her.
Yeah.
I know the elite running things act like they're aliens from deep space come to enslave us. I know that. It's kind of instead of taking a power nap, I'll listen to a couple of songs. A little classical music, a little George Strait, a little Great White. StanDeyo.com, our guest. We're going to be back up soon on his political worldview of what's really going on. But he just hit the hardcore issue. Why is it when somebody, an engineer or scientist, says, hey, this is demonic, that's what's happening, people are like, oh, that's kooky, that's weird. But wait, 80% of Americans, 82% says they're Christian, believe in a God and the devil. Well, we're on a planet in space. Who is the devil? What is the devil that wants to kill, steal, and destroy and become God and mutate the genetics of the planet? Everything the Bible says, but it's not taught in the churches because they're basically government run now. We're seeing prophecies fulfilled. And look, if you're an atheist and don't believe in spiritual things and other dimensions, which mathematics has proven, and Einstein went from being an atheist to being, someone who believed there was a God. Because how can you do these equations and then not see the fingerprints there? But there's also a spirit of evil. But even in a Carl Jungian way, there are archetypes, and humans build a satanic archetype that always ends in giant black pyramids with human sacrifice. And every ancient culture believed all this was going on. I don't go there because people won't believe there's FEMA camps when I have the congressional documents. So they're not going to get into other things that are fantastical. But clearly, folks, we're not in Kansas anymore, and we never were. We're 2/3 of the way out on the spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy. And so, Stan, next time you come on, we'll get you into the heavier, more esoteric stuff. But the elite do believe, at Skull and Bones, they believe they're worshiping angels, goddesses from space. That's been in New York Times best-selling books by people that broke in there, basically. They don't call the Bushes crazy for worshiping entities. At Bohemian Grove, they were worshiping entities when I was there. So whether they're space aliens, entities, whatever, or even if they're not real, our elite believe they're real, but you're saying they may fake this as the great delusion that we're biblically told about.
Absolutely. They're going to come as the good guys when the Bible says, beware the first lot coming as messengers of light. That's almost a literal translation.
We got a few minutes in this segment and one more 5-minute segment with you. Get into some of your larger view, because you've been accurate predicting earthquakes. You're a smart guy, did a lot of secret operations that have been documented. I mean, what made you form this cosmology? Just researching it?
Well, yes. Back in 1969, I fell ill with a bacterial infection that nearly killed me. In fact, I had the out-of-body near-death experience. And after I came back into my body from that, I had a lot of stuff in my mind that told me to eventually write the book, The Cosmic Conspiracy, to expose this great deception.
By the way, that was a super worldwide bestseller.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
How many copies of that did you sell?
Well, I last count a couple years ago, 250,000 copies, which is just for an amateur guy, that's a lot of books.
Well, I know, but it got picked up and put into other serials and things. I just know it was in magazines, you name it. Yep, we're going to come right back. I'm going to have you back up soon for a full hour on the Cosmic Conspiracy, your view on that. That's a book I heard Bob Dylan likes. Give us a little preview of what you're going to cover next time you're on.
Well, I suppose the most important thing will be the developing situation in the Middle East and how it would potentially relate to announcing the alien presence here. I know that for years, a number of us, in the radio industry here and in the news industry have poo-pooed the idea of UFOs and aliens, and anybody that talked about that for real should be wearing a little tinfoil hat, But now that things are becoming quite intense in the world, just as I predicted in the Cosmic Conspiracy and in the TV shows, I'll be talking about why the world events are going where they are. Move ahead a bunch of chess moves from where we are now. And I want to warn people in a long discussion saying, look, here's what you watch for, and here's what to avoid. And I base a lot of that on what's in the biblical prophecies about this time. They've been so accurate and are becoming even more accurate now, happening before our eyes, that it's going to be easy for me to point people to this and say, here's what you do, and here's what you don't do if you want to get through this and, as the Bible says, have everlasting life.
Colonel Craig Roberts, good friend of mine, I want to get him back on. He died of cancer, surgery and colon cancer for 10 minutes. I mean, unless you're putting ice, there's no way you're going to come back from that. He came back from that, had the whole experience of the portal, the angel, a decision being made. He was given all the data sent back. And there's even mainline, as studies and reports, government reports. We could do a whole show on this, where people who aren't even Christians, who are in African tribes or who are in New Guinea, when they die and come back, it's the same thing. This is real. I mean, this is going on.
Absolutely.
What happened to you briefly when you died?
Well, I left the body. I shot through the roof in my room and out into a very smooth, velvet-like darkness. And off to my right, as I was moving through this darkness toward a light way out there, off to my right, there were a bunch of little theaterettes, like maybe 50, 60, even 100, all showing events in my life up to that point where I had hurt someone by actions or deed. And then they would go a little bit further, showing how that affected that person's life down the road. It was kind of like judging myself. And as I was moving through this silky darkness, pieces of me seemed to be washed out by this invisible fluid, like dirt clods, and they would fall behind me in a puff of smoke. And I would notice I was losing a negative emotion like greed or hate, et cetera, et cetera. So
you were being sanctified?
Well, I was sitting in judgment, nodding my head, saying, yeah, okay, I did that. I wasn't embarrassed or anything. I was just looking analytically at the things I'd done wrong, what it had happened, what it had caused. And I even got to see a little bit into the future. And then when that all stopped and I was, able to just think without watching all those screens at once, which I could do easily at that point, my mind was bigger and I could know about the universe. And I said, well, how does it work? And how do flying saucers work? And all kinds of questions. But when I squeezed back into my body, it was like getting into a tiny little shoe, and pieces of what I had learned out there seemed to drop off the side.
It was fragments.
Yeah, and they came back later in dream states over the next, probably 7 to 10 years.
Well, that's the same universal thing going back thousands of years since writing was invented. And same thing with Roberts. He was in a dark room, and the angel had his hand on him. He was like just being instantly shown all the Good things he'd done, bad things he's done, and it was like, and then the decision was made, just like, you know, in the movie, send you back, back. It's just unbelievable.
Right.
It's so real.
Right, it is. It really is. We live outside the body.
It's amazing, and the enemy knows that and tries to keep us from ever being aware of it. StanDeyo.com. We'll talk to you soon, sir.
Thanks, Alex. Night.
Thanks for all the time.
Good
well,
afternoon.
I know you're usually on at night, yeah. All right, there goes Stan Deyo. Coming back with your phone call. Stay with us.